Miyamoto Musashi was one of the most interesting characters in human history. Not only was he one of the best swordsmen of all time, but he was also an artist and philosopher. His philosophy and way of life became immortalized in his book of 5 rings. He preached about being realistic, practicing mindfulness, leading a virtuous life, and most of all, having a purpose. Come to think of it, Musashi's methods seem even more relevant and potent today than in the 16th century Japan when he lived. His teachings bear a striking resemblance to the Stoic philosophy, which was practiced over 1,000 years earlier, halfway across the world in ancient Greece. So today, I'm going to highlight 3 of the most important concepts that Musashi lived by. Being born into a family of fighters, Musashi was a restless spirit, and from an early age he decided he would become the best swordsman to have ever lived. Right from the start, there are 2 key points to acknowledge. First, Musashi found his purpose in life. The reason why so many young men feel lost in modern times is that they do not have a purpose, and purpose is what gives our lives meaning and value. Without it, no endeavor we make can bring us true happiness and fulfillment. Secondly, he did not just want to learn the art, he wanted to master it. Like any Stoic, Musashi knew that greatness had a price, and he was willing to pay it no matter the cost. For Musashi, this meant he had to embrace the path of the loner. This might seem contradictory, because martial arts are taught at a dojo with others, right? Well, Musashi chose a different path, or maybe fate chose it for him. His father was a great swordsman and a minor local chieftain. The 2 of them never got along very well, and Musashi was disowned by his father at age 7. The boy went on to live with his uncle, who also used to be a warrior but chose to renounce the warrior way in favor of becoming a Buddhist monk. Under his care, Musashi learned to read, write, and wield a sword. Most importantly, he learned the art of mindfulness and meditation. He would go on to live the life of a wanderer, but he did not waste away. He constantly honed his skills and challenged warriors to deadly duels. He was in fact fulfilling his purpose. Every step he made had a purpose. The important thing to understand is that Musashi did not just go on fighting people with a sword. He also embarked on a journey of deep introspection and gained wisdom through discipline, dedication, and solitude. The legend says that when Musashi was just 13, a renowned warrior came to his village, issuing a challenge to local swordsmen. Musashi rose up to the challenge, caught his opponent by surprise, and beat him to death with just a stick. Then, 2 years later, he decided to go on a warrior's pilgrimage. He always felt that being alone and disassociating yourself from other people and distractions is the only way to truly know yourself and grow. He roamed the land, improving his skills with the sword, and kept challenging fighter after fighter. Throughout his life, Musashi would end up having 60 duels to the death, and he never lost a single one. At one point, he joined his father in his military campaigns and continued to wage war after his father retired. He knew that in order to become the best, he had to test out his skills in real combat. He never shied away from a challenge. In modern times, we call this stepping out of your comfort zone, because we can grow only when we step out of comfort and take on a challenge that is perhaps even bigger than us. It's like going to the gym. The muscle only grows if you push it to the limit. We feel pain as the muscles tear, but when they repair themselves, they become bigger and stronger than before. You see, Musashi believed that there were 2 paths in life. One is the path of comfort. This path is eye-pleasing, seems enjoyable, and most people go down this road because it's easier. The second path is not easy at all. It is the path of the loner. It is the path less traveled. Some may embark on it, but it is often too hard and too scary, so they leave it for the comfort of the other path. They settle for mediocrity. This is why Musashi was a Stoic without even knowing it. He realized that momentary pleasure is just that, momentary. It cannot bring you true happiness. On the contrary, after some time, it will turn into feelings of emptiness and even hopelessness. But we all like pleasure, and this is the reason why it is very seductive and difficult to stay away from it. But for those few that prevail on the path of the loner, it brings a feeling that comes only with success, and it is unparalleled by anything else. And I don't just mean any success. It's not like getting a good job, a raise, or a promotion. It is the feeling of success when you do something meaningful and in line with your purpose in life. But you should know that this second path is most often a lonely one. Most people that choose the path of comfort, including your family and closest friends, will never completely understand you. They will probably even try to persuade you not to do it. But don't let that discourage you. Your purpose is what drives you. Believe in it. Once you find your purpose and devote your life to it, your existence has meaning. Musashi's purpose was to become the greatest swordsman ever. What is yours? One of the key elements of Musashi's life was commitment and focus. He emphasized that you should always be focused on one thing and one thing only. But once you master one thing, you will realize you have mastered 1,000. That is why, in the end, he was not just a warrior, he was so much more. Musashi said that the attributes that helped him focus were restraint, sacrifice, discipline, and not being swayed by pleasure. Wow, this sounds strangely similar to the Stoics, don't you think? You see, Musashi actually embraced many of the postulates of the ancient Stoic philosophy. We can observe this through the 4 Stoic truths: courage, wisdom, temperance, and justice. Musashi had the courage to step outside his comfort zone, embrace the path of the loner, and challenge himself with difficult things so that he could grow and improve his skills. He knew that just having skill was not enough. Along his path, he wanted to know the world for what it really was. Through deep introspection and mindfulness, he sought out wisdom. In the end, like most accomplished martial artists, his pursuit of mastering the sword was in fact the pursuit of mastering himself. To achieve this, he also practiced temperance. For Musashi, this meant abstaining from short-term pleasures, being disciplined, and focusing on the goal. Musashi, like the Stoics, also preached that a man should live a virtuous life. This meant having a strong moral code that you should abide by at all times, no matter how difficult it becomes. So, even though the story of Musashi might, at first glance, look like the life of an untamed brute who calmed down when he grew old, once you learn about his teachings, you will see that he was actually a great philosopher. Musashi said, "Once you understand the way broadly, you can see it in all things." So very much like the 4 truths of Stoics, Musashi's 21 principles called Dokodo, the path of aloneness, are a guide to men who wish to live fulfilling lives. And this way can be applied to anything you do in life. That is why his teachings are still used to this day by strategists and businessmen alike, hundreds of years after his death. If you want me to go into more detail about Musashi and his life, leave a comment below.